Good morning, how are we doing? If you're coming in, give me a hello. If you're on replay, drop a replay. Happy Sunday. So, great question, by the way, about do all diets fail? It was a bit longer than the title says. So, do all diets fail? If you regain like 98% of the time, 98% of diets fail. This is what this video that they sent me that they watched from someone who calls themselves the Fat Doctor. If 98% of diets fail, they're saying that it's pointless and that it's all like, just they try and make you try and lose weight and you regain it anyway. What's your thoughts on this, essentially? Now, firstly, we also, when we were chatting about this, they were like, I know you've said before that diets fail, and I have. And this is where, when there's a little bit of truth in something, someone can take it to mean something else. Because when there's a little bit of truth in it, it's hard to dispute. So, although what they're saying is actually quite evidence-based in that 98% of diets, if you define a diet by, like, you put on a little bit back on, like even if I lose 10 pounds and put on 2 pounds, if you define that as failure, then yes, 98% of diets fail. But here's what I want to ask you, to ask these questions is, when you look at these 98% of diets that fail, if you look at the studies on where they follow people up like 5 years later, you might see like on average, like maybe like 70% weight regain, but it seems to stagnate. And if someone is 25% lower, they've lost, or of the weight they've lost, they've kept off 25%. That might sound like it fails, but how significant is that for their risk of diabetes, for their risk of heart disease, for their risk of cancers, which we know that obesity is number 2 at the moment behind smoking, is it? Smoking, alcohol, obesity are quite high in there. I know they did that controversial campaign recently about that, which definitely caused a bit of controversy with the body positivity movement, which is great, by the way. We should love ourselves, but also acknowledge that there are risks of excess body fat. We know this from research, and to dismiss that, people trying really hard to lose body fat, lose weight, get fitter, get stronger, is quite dangerous actually. When I look at it, it's kind of there's a lot of unease when I look at that. And if you also consider, morning Judy, if you also consider that we've now got evidence, not just that, take the diabetes, low calorie diet, not just evidence that the 800 calorie diet can potentially put type 2 diabetes into remission, but also the evidence that these low calorie diets, and with long-term support in terms of transitioning back to quote unquote normal eating, people can actually be in remission long after that. So, and they're looking at the follow-up, and with the right support, and this is my question here, is if 98% of diets fail anyway, however you define that, whether that's putting on 2 pounds, even though you lost the stone, what you've got to consider is how much level of support do they have? Because when you look at the research and they have a high level of support, actually it's a bit different. And in a lot of these studies, when you look at, no matter what the diet is, the ones that are successful, they have a high level of accountability, high level of support. Because if you think about it, if you're given a diet sheet, that's fine. However, you're not really changing habits. You're just doing something with a lot of willpower. Maybe there's a lot of motivation there. If you're keeping it off long term, if you're trying to change habits, having that support, that accountability, that community, like-minded people, that is massive. And in my time working in public health and NHS and working in diabetes programs, so we did diabetes programs for type 2 diabetes, people with type 2 diabetes, and I firsthand saw the psychological impact of telling someone that the difference between, if someone puts their hand up and said, one time, I'll never forget it, they put their hand up and said, can you reverse diabetes? And there were a GP with me, and they said, no, it's a long-term condition. Once you've got it, you'll have it forever. And in short, they went, so there's nothing you can do about it. And they went, well, you always have it. Yeah. And they were a little bit like, what's the point? Why am I even here? Why am I even... And that there, you could see them just go, what's the actual point if I'm going to have it? When actually, what actually happens is you can put it in remission. You put it in remission, you reduce your risk of all sorts. Losing limbs, eyesight, like infections, heart disease, you name it. Taking potential medications, you name it. Like there's a massive benefits. Yeah, you might not reverse it, and this is a terminology thing, reverse, but you put it in remission, which means your body has not got signs of type 2 diabetes. Your blood sugar levels are quote unquote normal. It's remission because you're more likely to get it back if you go back to how you were potentially. So there's a massive difference there. And I think that's a really important thing to consider. And you throw in the level of support as well, in terms of community, when, and this is kind of underpins a lot of Fruci Fit actually, and where it kind of really developed from. When I was running these diabetes programs, everyone was like-minded. It was like everyone in here had type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes, and they were like, oh, I didn't even know so many people had it. I didn't even know you had it, da-da-da. Everyone starts communicating, they make friends, there's more of a community, they keep each other accountable as well, which then adds another layer. And then people are more successful. People are more likely to stick to it. So in short, do diets fail? Well, it depends how you define failure. It depends were they given the level of support. Was it the diet? Did it match their lifestyle? If I said if you lose weight and put on a pound and said, right, now you failed, how do you respond to that? Sometimes it's the language. Oh, I failed now, put the pound back on. You know, I could go into this all day. Like, weight is just one figure. You know, are we now doing DEXA scans and we look at your body fat level? Because someone could potentially be the same weight but have lost a lot of fat, which we know is quite big on the body but voluminous compared to muscle. 2 pounds of muscle might be that big, 2 pounds of fat might be that big. You've shrunk, but your weight might stay the same. There's that as well. Are you doing resistance exercise? You name it. So, wanted to respond to that, and I thought it'd be helpful to share that. If you found that helpful, let me know. If you have any questions on that, do let me know as well. So, that is my 2 cents on the do diets fail. You could argue they do. You could, but without defining these terms, defining what they did, it's difficult to say all diets fail, there's no point. And the overwhelming evidence of even yo-yo dieting, even if you yo-yo diet, there's still benefits because you get the benefits of being a lower weight, which not only may take pressure off joints, etc. like that, but also has impact on blood sugar level, impact on insulin resistance. And if you think insulin resistance is something that gets potentially worse over time, the longer we live, that could also delay potential issues in the future. You name it. There is just a whole load of benefits in there. Morning, Lou. Morning, Tracy. So you can watch this back. If you're on replay, let me know. And let me know any questions that you have on this. This is a really important thing to consider. Whenever you're told diets fail, there's no point doing it. You know, consider these things. Anyway, hope that helps. Any questions, let me know. Make it an awesome day and happy Sunday.